Hey there, I hope this finds you well. I'm sorry this video is a little late. I've been working on new music and also studying for my WSET Level 3. That's Wine and Spirit Education Trust. We also had the Seiha 110th anniversary concert, so I needed to give that my focus. To those of you watching for the first time, thank you. My name is Robert. I've been living in Yokohama, Japan for going on 5 years now. I moved here to study the koto, a traditional Japanese stringed instrument. I'm going to be doing a lot less editing on these videos moving forward, adding pictures and stuff. I want to keep doing these videos to connect with people, answer questions, and hopefully build a community of sorts, but any time I spend editing these takes away from time I could be spending working on new music. And now that I've received my koto degree, and now that the anniversary concert is finished, writing and releasing new music is going to be my focus moving forward, at least for this next era of my life. In the last video, I said that this time I would talk more about my experience taking the Junshihan exam. I'm actually going to save that for next time because I have other stuff on my mind that I would rather talk about. Though it does connect back to my life in Japan and my reasons for moving here. Some of it does get a little life advicey, you could say, so if you'd like to skip ahead to the Q&A, I put a timestamp in the video description so you can do that. I've just had a lot of these thoughts floating around recently, and the title of this series is, Diary of an American Koto Musician Living in Japan, and these are kind of my Dear Diary thoughts. These are the kind of things I've been reflecting on. So I've been watching both world events and national news from the US play out in my social media feed, and I have been observing how people are reacting to them. And the system is set up to make it very difficult or impossible for ordinary people to change the system from the top down. Now, I'm not going to say we should give up on striving for political change or reforming institutions, not at all, but that's all trying to change the institutions from the top down. And sometimes you hit a wall and it's frustrating and people get black-pilled or whatever. So I'm saying that a lot of sweeping changes are going to have to come from the bottom up. And these changes are probably going to come about less as a result of a concentrated effort, and more as a side effect of how individuals and communities are living their day-to-day lives, positive or negative. Imagine you have a computer monitor. If enough individual pixels on that display change, the image as a whole is going to be altered. So Voltaire said, one must cultivate one's own garden. It's easy to get lost in the news and caught up in these huge issues. As important as they are, you've got to be careful that you don't neglect your own garden. And this is really the central point I want to get to in this video. And this video may only be for one person. But find a community where you fit in and where you can feel comfortable being the best version of yourself. And if you can't find that community, make it. And grow that micro community, that circle of friends, and pour yourself into that. Find your thing that you can contribute to your community, develop a skill that makes you useful to others, so that you have something to offer your community, and so that you're not always just consuming. And find some interest you're drawn to. For me, it was music and wine, so go as far down that rabbit hole as you are able to. Maybe you find out that you're into antiques, or Scotch whiskey, or fragrances and perfume. Look up everything you can about that interest and take it as far as you possibly can. find the other people who are into it. That's how I started my wine tasting group back in Melbourne, Florida. I just made a Facebook group, or a Facebook post, asking if anyone wanted to start a tasting group, and it grew from there. And some of my fondest memories and most meaningful experiences have come from that group. And now that I finished my music degree and I have a little more free time, I wanted to dive more into the intellectual side of wine, so I'm going for my WSET. And disclaimer, I am not saying you have to take every hobby or interest to 100% either. It's fine to have casual hobbies as well. I think some people have a temperament and a personality where they're more suited to a balanced life. They're always getting bombarded by people online telling them to find their passion or whatever. So you do what's right for you. Now me, I am not suited to a balanced life at all. That's not me. I really like the saying, find what you love and let it kill you. But you need to find out what you are and what works for you. So maybe try finding one or two things that you can go all in with. Maybe one that's career related, one that's just for enjoyment, or not, whatever. But back to governments and corporations. These monolithic institutions, which are basically natural forces. You need to think of them like natural disasters. These sociopaths in positions of power, you need to treat them like hurricanes or earthquakes or tornadoes. They're going to be there. They're a part of life, and so we need to be smart about how we deal with them. And there's a lot more that could be said about that. I'd urge you to take that analogy further in your own minds and extrapolate from there. But be smart. And for you, that may mean moving out of a flood zone, if you catch my drift. But do what you need to do to take care of your own garden, whatever that means. Do be vigilant. Pay attention to local, national, and world events, but tend to your garden and watch your government and pay attention to what's going on the way you would follow a hurricane forecast or an earthquake warning. And lastly, fight for time. Fight for time. I got that phrase from a Sam Hyde video, along with some of the other stuff I said earlier about developing a skill, even though I'm sure he's not the first person who said it. And the stuff I said about finding an interest you're drawn to is pretty close to something that Nick Rochefort said in a recent Scuffed Realtor stream, which got me thinking about these topics again. So what I'm saying isn't terribly unique or original, but it's just what I've been thinking about and what I really wanted to talk about this week. So yeah, fight for time. Everything in society is set up to sap you of time and energy, to waste your time and energy. Paperwork, permits, visits to the tax office, medical insurance stuff. Most of these can't be avoided, so the best you can do is try to emotionally detach yourself as much as possible from these things. Say, today is a wash. I'm going to spend all day at the tax office. And try to get maybe one truly meaningful thing done that day. Even if it's just half an hour or an hour of real work towards your actual goals. Or maybe it's a 15-minute call back home to your mom, or a DM to an old friend you haven't talked to in a while because you both have been too busy. Just to say hi or reconnect. And, these are the things in your life that you can't control. And there are other things in your life that you can control. And I think you need to hit Control-Alt-Delete and bring up Task Manager and start ending some background processes in your life that are using too much of your energy, too much of your memory. And let's see. Also, find your personal quirks and work with them. So I found out for myself I am completely unproductive after I get home from work, no matter how hyped up I was earlier that day. Now, I'm not a morning person, but I know I have to get up and get certain things done before work, or they won't get done, and the days will just flow by, and I'll have nothing to show for it, and then it's just a cycle of disappointment in myself. And I'm not saying you need to min-max every single moment of your day. Some people find that effective for them, and other people get diminishing returns and it just burns them out. So again, find out what works for you and what doesn't, and what is effective for you. I'm going to leave you with one more analogy related to fighting for time. Imagine there are two people living in a really crummy apartment complex. There's mold, the AC doesn't work during the summer, the rent is too high, the maintenance fees are unfair, and you've got two people living there. One person spends all of their time and energy fixing the place up, improving living conditions, making it a better place to stay, to live. The second person puts all of their time and energy into finding someplace else, into moving out of there and into someplace different, hopefully better. And you may be the first person, so maybe your current situation is worth fighting for. For example, if you hate the conditions at your company, get involved with the union, try to make things better. Or if your local music scene sucks, get involved and try to revitalize it. Or you may be the second person. Maybe, no matter how much the conditions at that apartment improve, say they lower the rent, they move you into a penthouse suite, they have complimentary champagne delivered to your room every evening, no charge, no matter how much the conditions are to improve, you still would not be satisfied or fulfilled if you lived there, if you stayed there. And I can't tell you what's right for you, but you've got to try your best to know when something is worth fighting for and when it's a waste of your time and energy. So guard your time and energy. Everyone and everything is fighting for your attention, so be careful who and what you give your time and your energy to. And with that, let's move on to the Q&A from last time. All right, Spandexian VR said, great video. Thank you. Question, as a foreign musician, what are some of the successes and difficulties you experienced living in Japan? So actually, in the koto world, I've had really good experiences. The Iemoto of Seiha, Kazuko-sensei, has been so incredibly kind to me, as has Utonoichi-sensei, my teacher. When I first went to Seiha, to that first summer program, I had bright pink hair, and everyone was really cool to me and accepting of me even then. As for rock music, so I've had another musician who moved here from overseas and has lived here longer than me. He told me, your music isn't going to find success among Japanese people unless you find a Japanese singer or sing in Japanese. These clubs are never going to book you if you don't sound like A, B, or C. And there may be some truth to that. I've been so focused on my koto degree that I put my rock music on the back burner for a while. So I haven't hit that wall quite yet. We'll see what happens in the near future as I shift focus back onto my rock music. But if that is true, then my response is, I still believe in the rock and roll mentality of doing what you want, being the best version of yourself that you can be, and making the music you want no matter what other people think. And I would rather die on a stage playing to an empty room than to chase success making music that I don't like. So thank you for the question. That's a really good question. All right. What do we got here? Darth Raider 08. Why is my camera going out of focus? All right. Darth Raider 08. Thank you for showing those beautiful pictures from your travels and the places you'd like to visit. I definitely want to visit as well. Wish I could visit them with you. I wish you a wonderful Halloween. You look stunning in your costume. It takes me back to AFO days. That's Anime Festival Orlando. I wish you all the best on your upcoming performance. I'm so excited for you. Well, first, thank you for the kind words on my Halloween costume. I hope you had a wonderful Halloween as well. It's my favorite day of the year, as I've probably said before many times, and I truly appreciate you watching my previous videos and listening to my music. That means a lot to me. And thank you for your friendship over the years. I'm incredibly grateful. When does Rhone Valley Rogues release more music? And favorite concerts you've been to or would like to attend? I'll take the second question first. I attended GACT's 20th anniversary concert in Yokohama, the city I live in. I got a diamond ticket and I was in the 5th row, I think. But the first 3 rows were empty, so I was effectively in the 2nd row. And I've never made a secret of the fact that GACT is one of my biggest inspirations, and that concert was more than a dream come true. I got to see him perform his songs Flower and Orenji no Taiyo. Hyde called in on a video screen, and GACT also did this really cool mashup between his song Luna and Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. So that was amazing. I've also seen Access. You know, Daisuke Azakura did the music for Gravitation, one of my favorite anime and probably my favorite anime soundtrack of all time. Also, the band Mook has been doing shows for their 25th anniversary. They've been doing these tours where they focus on particular eras and albums from their past catalog, which is great because they have like 16 studio albums, so I wish more bands would do that. And I attended 3 different Mook concerts, which each focused on a different one of my 3 favorite albums. So Kuchiki no To, Gokusai, and Shion. And all 3 were fantastic. The Shion one was probably my favorite, and I would recommend checking out Mook to everyone listening, especially those 3 albums. I think Shion is their best album overall, but it's more experimental. Gokusai is a better rock, metal kind of album, and Kuchiki no To is back from 2004. It's a little older, so it's more raw. The riffs are a little simpler, but they hit really hard. It's really nice. Other shows I've been to include Deer and Grey, Sukekio, Galnerius, and some indie shows, both Visual Kei and rock. I also went to a few koto concerts, which were fantastic. Concerts I would like to attend. So I missed SUG when they were playing near me. SUG, that's S-U-G. I think I'm pronouncing it right. The tickets were sold out by the time I got to them. So, but I'm grateful for all the shows I have been able to attend while I'm here. So, when will Rhone Valley Rogues release new music? Okay, so one reason this video is so late is because I've been listening to mixes and masters of upcoming Rhone Valley Rogues songs. as well as writing the next batch of songs after those. So the next 3 singles are just about done. I'm waiting to get a slightly different mix of one of them. And now that I have my Junshihan degree and now that the anniversary concert is finished, I'm going to be switching my focus back to writing and releasing my own music again. I did release that Roan Valley Rogues EP last year, but moving forward, I'm going to have a more consistent, regular release schedule. I haven't decided the exact release dates yet because I'm still figuring out my promotion strategy and all of that, but it's going to be either later this year or more likely early next year. So I can't wait for you to hear them. All right. Cosmic Mage says, nice costume. Thank you. Have you ever experimented with sampling your koto and doing weird stuff to it in a DAW? DAW is digital audio workstation like Cubase or Pro Tools or FL Studio. I have not, but that could be very interesting and I'm open to doing that in the future. So I fell in love with the pure sound of the koto itself, so I wanted to express that without altering it too much. But I'm definitely open to doing something like that. That could open up a whole new range of possibilities. Yeah. Do you think any of your housemates would consider saying hi on an episode? That's a possibility. I'm reluctant to ask them because even if they said yes, I'd feel like they were only doing it out of obligation. You know, everyone has stuff to do. I don't want to give them one more thing that they feel like they have to do. But yeah, that could be fun. Let me think about that. Thank you for the suggestion. Do you have any aspirations of joining another band in Japan? Okay, so I did play koto in a visual kei band here called Zavak for a short amount of time. That's Xavak. But only on their first couple of single releases and for a handful of shows. Our schedules just didn't match. I'm probably going to be making some posts very soon in musician groups to start looking for band members for Roan Valley Rogues. You know, like I said, I am shifting focus back to the band and to the rock side of things from now on, and I'm dying to play some live shows, so I will keep you updated on that. Mr. Poopy Bungholio. This is in reference to the hiking photos I showed on my last video. Yeah, Nico was pretty great. Thanks for including that memory on here. Thank you. Let's do it again. Maybe early next year before it gets too hot. Yeah, that was really fun. Lastly, 101-20003. I have 5 questions. Why do you make such a cute maid? So that's another reference to my Halloween costume, which I wore on my last video stream. And thank you. I genuinely appreciate you saying so. It makes me feel very pretty, so thank you. Do you have more cosplays, or do you want more cosplays? What is your favorite type of cosplay? So for those of you who don't know, back in the States I was a regular at the Florida anime conventions. I often cosplayed Shuichi from Gravitation or Prince Gumball from Adventure Time. Right now I'm saving more of my money for stage outfits, but I guess a dream cosplay for me would be Angel Dust from Has Been Hotel. I think I could pull it off because I'm tall, and you know, so maybe I could be a noir-esque mafia femboy spider demon. I would absolutely love that. So, what is your favorite type of music? What is your favorite wine? Rock music is still my favorite genre as a whole, though I really like it when it mixes in influences from other genres. So a cabaret feel to a certain song, or influences from metal, or textures from electronic music, stuff like that. If I had to choose, my favorite band of all time is still probably AFI. But don't ask me to pick a favorite album. My favorite wine. So if I could only drink wine from one country for the rest of my life, it would be France. I love Burgundy, especially red Burgundy, but it really comes into its own with age, and the wines that display what I particularly like about Burgundy are generally very expensive. But I like a good Village level or Premier Cru Burgundy, a nice Premier Cru Volnay or Gevrey Chambertin, for instance. The Grand Cru wines are completely out of my price range right now. In the States, I really liked to drink Mercurey and Santenay for value. Red Bordeaux with a little age on it is actually more affordable, so I drink a lot of that. 2010, 2015, 2016 are the ones I keep an eye out for. I drink a lot of Rhone wines, both red and white. Wines from the Rhone Valley, wines from southern France. The better Côte du Rhône Village wines are a great value. Chateau Saint-Côme has one of my favorite basic Côte du Rhône wines every year. On the higher end side, I really like Châteauneuf-du-Pape and Gigondas. I like the minerality you get on a lot of Rhone wines like this. Crushed stone or stone powder minerality, like you're walking through a quarry and you can just smell the stone dust. The red wines are usually a blend of Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and some other grapes. You usually get a lot of red fruit on Grenache-based wines, strawberries and cherries, but I actually prefer the Rhone wines that lean more in the dark fruit direction. You know, with Châteauneuf-du-Pape, you sometimes get these savory, almost soy sauce-like notes mixed in, even in some young Châteauneuf-du-Pape, along with local herbs and underbrush and stuff like that. And as they age, they get these gorgeous tertiary forest floor notes. Fantastic. Actually, Laura, you sent me a picture of a wine you drank not too long ago. The Domaine Sénéchal, Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So that is one of my favorite wines ever. And it gets even better with age. So. And finally, don't neglect the Rhone white wines, the white Rhone wines. They've become some of my favorite white wines in the world. So give those a try. I would recommend getting the Hugh Johnson Pocket Wine Book for when you go to buy wine. There's an electronic version you can get on your phone, but that's a really useful tool. Alright, and that wraps up the Q&A. So this video was a bit different. Like I said, I just wanted to share some things I've been thinking about recently. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I'm just putting my thoughts out there into the ether, and I hope that someone connects with them or benefits from them. Yeah, don't tell me I look tired. I already know. And please leave any questions for me in the comments. I will answer them in the next video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time watching this video. I think it's going to clock in a little longer than the other ones as well. I hope you have a good week and stay healthy in the cooler weather. I will talk to you later. Take care.